Okay, this is the reverdin procedure and all of its modifications, the green, the laird, and the todd. Okay, it's high yield. One of the highest yields is that it's a procedure that corrects PASA. There's only 5 or 6 of these, so remember that. How does it correct PASA? Well, let's take a look at the original reverdin, the base for all of the procedures. So, on the far left in red, the reverdin procedure, it's essentially a head osteotomy with a wedge that's removed medially, okay? So, to describe it, the first cut proximally is made just perpendicular to the long axis of the first metatarsal, just straight across. The second cut is made parallel to PASA, okay? So, if you can imagine, if you make a cut like this, the wedge, that wedge will close, and as it closes, it straightens out the hallux. See that? It straightens it out, closes down the wedge. In addition to that, as you can see in brown there, the silver procedure, or just the bumpectomy, is performed in all of these, but that's not very high yield. That's performed in pretty much any procedure. Okay, so just remember the medial closing wedge of the burst metatarsal head. Now, there's 3 modifications that you need to know: the green, the laird, and the todd. Now, there's a bunch of ways you can memorize this. I just remember green, laird, todd, and what each one does. You can also remember they're in alphabetical order, G, L, T, and GLT kind of sounds like a BLT sandwich, so maybe that helps you as well. So it's the reverdin GLT sandwich. Now, what's the first modification? Well, essentially, each modification just tries to improve the original, or the last procedure actually. So the reverdin procedure was made, and then Dr. Green said, well, if you're making a cut there, right above the sesamoids, you don't want to cut into the sesamoid articulation, that's a joint. You don't want to cut into the sesamoid apparatus or risk those. So just make a transverse cut. It's that green line with an arrow pointing to it. Make a transverse cut, and then do that same reverdin wedge above it. So the image on the left, the reverdin procedure, is the same as the one in the green. However, you're just cutting that wedge short there above the sesamoids, okay? And I've color-coded it. So the green line in the green is associated with the green color of the reverdin-green, as well as the red color of the reverdin and the red arrow. Now on the next one, the purple with the purple arrow indicates what the main indication is. So the next one, Laird said, well, if we're going to make this osteotomy, why don't we just shift the head laterally to close the IM angle? And so they did. So as you can see there, if you look closely, there's a red dotted line where they just extend that wedge, the same wedge, through the lateral cortex to then shift that purple arrow, the capital fragment, laterally to close the IM. And as well, it's a closing wedge just the same as the rest. Okay? Now, in the todd, they said, well, some of these people with bunions also have a hallux limitus or hallux rigidus with arthritis. And why? Because they have a dorsiflex first metatarsal that causes jamming. So they said, well, why can't we plantar flex this metatarsal head as well? So they're doing the same procedure. The green modification is still there, as you can see. However, they're adding a plantar flexory closing wedge. So let me just describe it to you in words. It's a triangular shaped wedge removed from both the top and the side of the first metatarsal. So the reverdin on the far left is performed just the same on the AP view, but we're on the lateral view here, and then they make another cut to plantar flex it. So it's kind of like 2 wedge cuts at the same time. Okay, so let's review. This is the reverdin procedure. The reverdin has 3 modifications. The green, laird, todd, you can remember that by GLT, or they're in alphabetical order. You can remember that they're all a medial closing wedge osteotomy of the first metatarsal head. Each one progresses and improves the last. The green protects the sesamoids. The reverdin slides the head over. And the todd the laird slides the head over, and the todd plantar flexes the first metatarsal to prevent jamming. Okay, and they're a head procedure, so that indicates that it's for mild IM angles or mild bunions, and they all correct PASA, which is high yield again. And that's it.